levels, picking up all the pickups you can, all the while trying to escape the palace with as much gold as possible. To talk to you about our character, we have Cole Campbell.
Alright, so in our game, you're playing as a French thief who's broken into a palace and is trying to steal as much gems and gold as possible so he can make money. And as he's going for the last thing he wants to steal, the crown jewels, he ends up ripping his bag so gold is now leaking out of it, and he needs to escape the palace before he loses all of it. And the two mechanics he's going to use to try and escape from the palace are his jump and grapple mechanic. Like Anna mentioned, jump was really important in our game, and we spent a lot of time making sure that it was perfect. This involved things like making it so that the longer you held down the spacebar, the higher you could jump, so you can increase the length and your amount of hang time, giving you more control, making it easier to jump over obstacles, and making it a lot easier to time things. The other thing we had was grapple. This allows you to grapple to chandeliers throughout our level. Whenever you're within a certain range of a chandelier, you can just hit a button, and you'll automatically throw your grapple up to the chandelier and jump off the ground, and you can use your move keys to swing back and forth from the grapple, and use it to get to platforms that you wouldn't normally be able to reach with just the jump alone. And now to talk about the obstacles you'll be avoiding in our game with these mechanics is Derek Cookie.
Thank you, Cole. Alright, as you're trying to escape through the palace, you'll encounter many obstacles, first of which are lasers. Now, there are three types of lasers. As you can see, the first is static lasers. Static lasers are constantly on. So basically, if you're the player and you run into these lasers, you'll get hit and you'll lose gold. Next, we have rotating platforms. Rotating platforms are similar to regular platforms, except every few seconds they will rotate 180 degrees. Now, you have to time your jump so that you can maintain staying on these platforms or to the next platform. Next, we have falling chandeliers. Falling chandeliers are similar to regular chandeliers, except every few seconds they'll shake and then fall. When they fall, if you're still attached to them, you'll lose your grapple and you'll fall with them. Now, if you get hit by the chandelier while it's falling, you'll lose gold. Now we have our NPC, the guard. The guard patrols back and forth through a set path. When he reaches his path, he turns around and comes back. Well, it's a patrol. So, when the player enters the line of sight of the guard will immediately start chasing the player. If the guard hits the player, you'll lose the gold, but so that you can get away, since we don't pay our guards very well, they'll bend over, start gathering all that gold up, and that gives you a little bit of time to escape. Now, we have our treadmill. Treadmills don't really damage you. Basically, what they're used for is to either aid or hinder the player. Now, if you're going against treadmills, you'll be slowed down. If you're going with treadmills, you'll be sped up. You can even use that speed to assist in your jump. Alright, now we have sequence lasers. Sequence lasers are a timed event. Basically, they have three events. Cooldown. When they're blue, they're safe. Basically, they're cooling down, they've just gone off, you can pass the sequence lasers. Then they're charging. When it's green, you know the laser's charging, so you have to make it pretty quickly by them before they fire. And they become basically the same thing as static lasers. Then we have painting lasers. Painting lasers are also a timed event. When you reach a specific point in the painting laser, it activates. And it will sweep in a path following the player. The player has to jump over these lasers or they'll end up taking damage. And throughout the game you'll find pickups. These pickups are emeralds and rubies, each respectively giving 100 to 200 gold. And to talk about our tech, we have Zane.
So halfway through development, we ran into some issues with memory, and that's very important. If you ever put something down and then lost it, you can really understand how we literally lose things on the computer, and that can be a big problem. So the system we implemented is smart pointer. So to kind of explain it, here's kind of a common scenario. Is you have a picture, So user one comes along, he's looking at the picture, he's enjoying looking at the picture. He's like, this is my favorite picture ever, I don't want to go anywhere without this picture. So then user 2 comes along, he's like, oh, that's a really cool picture, I like that picture. So user 1 leaves, he takes his picture with him, because he's like, this is my new favorite picture. So user 2 is still looking at the picture, but it's not there anymore. So it's like if you lost something and someone else moved it, and you go back, like, I swore it was there, but it's not. So this is bad for our game, because it can actually cause crashes. You're looking at a memory location, poof, what you thought was there isn't. So the smart pointer system wraps the picture in sort of a protective casing where it now knows who's looking at it. So user 1's looking at the picture, and the picture is like, I see you. So then when user 2 comes along, it's keeping a track of who's looking at it. So then when user 1 leaves, the picture's like, okay, well user 2 is still looking at me, so I'll stay around for a little bit. Then user 1 can finally leave, and the picture's like, okay, I'm all alone now, so I'm going to go home. So then everyone's happy, everyone leaves. The picture's a little lonely at home, but most part everyone's happy. So talk about wrap up and closing statements, and pass off the cake.
Thank you, Zane. So for what went wrong? Well, one of the things that went wrong was putting animations on the CPU side instead of the GPU side. What this caused problems with is during later development in our games, at beta, we ran into where our game was lagging due to blending computations that happened on the CPU side instead of moving them to the shader and the GPU side. This came with a lot of thought and really up to the line of getting this implemented, so I would strongly advise that teams go ahead and put it on the GPU side early on in development so they don't run into this problem. So for what went right? What went right was we used a data-driven design, which was utilizing XML to go ahead and change all the variables in our game and allow for the quick implementation of things like we'll replace our guards, we'll replace the levels objects, and really overall level design. This allowed for quick iterations and really allowed us to go ahead and put this game together and make many different levels really quickly. Alright, let's play our game.